Hello and welcome. This is Alexandra Vjos, CEO of Successful Mindset for Life and Executive Coach. Today, I wanted to talk about how to multiply your sales. This exclusive presentation is for CEOs, managers, team leaders, or business owners who truly desire to improve their sales exponentially. And I personally love this topic because just a little bit about myself. I come from a corporate background. So I've worked in sales, banking, mortgages, and I really experienced the difference between high achievers and people who were just meeting the deadline, just meeting the target. And it always made me wonder, what's the difference between the two groups of people? The high flyers who were exceptionally well, who always were exceeding targets, and the masses who couldn't quite make it happen. People who were working in the same company, same department, yet different results. And many companies invest a lot of money in sales training. And there can be a lot of good salespeople. Anybody can be a great salesperson. The truth is, not many people are. And that can be very frustrating for the individual itself, but mostly for the manager, for the business owners, for the company's bottom line. So what I wanted to share with you today is to help you understand what is the difference between the high achievers and the masses, the rest of your team that is trying, hoping for, yet they cannot make it. So stay involved in this presentation. Really pay attention to some of the questions I ask. You can even answer it to yourself, or you can just write it down if you have a pen and paper in front of you. And I promise you, I'm going to share some information with you that you're going to love, that really will trigger your thinking and challenge the way you look at things from now on. Right, so let's begin. I would like to ask you, first question, have you ever seriously asked yourself why? Why do some salespeople earn so much more than others? And I'm guessing just because you're watching this webinar, you have asked yourself this question. And this is what I'm going to help you to understand. What I will start from is I'll start from talking about the law of compensation. The law of compensation clearly states the amount of money you earn will always be in exact ratio to the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty there will be in replacing you. Now, what I want to focus on during this session is your ability to do it. When I say your, you can either think of yourself or you can think of your team, or perhaps on certain individuals in your team. And I can tell you one thing, that anybody can become a master at whatever they do. Absolutely anybody, and it's guaranteed. But the only way to do so is to, first of all, understand what's holding people back, and also understand why they behave the way they do. So let's focus on the ability to do what they're supposed to be doing. From my own experience and what I've learned so far, and people I worked with, when it comes to profit, either personal income or company's bottom line, I would say, and I truly believe that there is no other profession in the entire world that gives you the opportunity to earn the amount of money you can earn as a professional salesperson. Would you agree with me? I think you would if you're in sales, because there is a huge opportunity to earn the amount of money you want. Earning, however, when it comes to earning money has very little to do with money. I don't know if you've ever thought about it from that perspective. When we focus on selling, then money will be there. So really, instead of focusing on money, focusing on getting that sale closed, focusing on that commission, this is something that most people get lost because they just speak into a prospect and they're thinking, I want your sale, I want your sale. And this is when many people go wrong straight away. If we focus on sale, and if we become a master in service, serving other people the best we can, sales will become like an easy profession and money will just follow naturally. Selling really is not something you do to a person, it is something you do for a person. It really is about how people perceive selling, how they think about it. And that's one of big differences between someone who is very effective in selling and someone who is not. But that statement will not help a person to improve their sales. This is just a statement, it's just a piece of information, and I'll tell you in a few minutes why this statement is not going to fix the sales in your company. Okay, even though it's a beautiful statement and so on, but please stay with me because we're going to dig a lot deeper. So what is selling? Selling is a mind game. And what I mean by that is that your actions control your results, right? So in this case, when we're talking about results, we're talking about sales. So someone who has really higher sales to someone who just meets the target. Actions really control your results. This is not a brainer. It's not really a rocket science. We kind of know this, right? So when we observe people, we kind of figure that out. That's why most companies try to change the behavior of the employees. So they tell them what to do. They say, make more phone calls, do this, do that, be ready at 9 a.m. or be on the phone from 9 a.m. and so on. So they really try to change the behavior. Because we know that actions control behavior, right? However, there's something more to it, because the behavior is not the primary cause of the results. Behavior is a secondary cause of the results. And I'm going to be talking about the primary cause of the results in a few seconds. Your paradigm controls most of your actions. So when it comes to the primary cause of your results, it is your paradigm that controls most of your actions, the way you behave. Now, what is a paradigm? You might have heard about it before, you might have not. So what paradigm is? A paradigm is a multitude of habits, ideas, and beliefs that the person holds in their subconscious mind. So when you change your paradigm, you change your results. It sounds simple, and the truth is, it really is simple when we understand how the paradigm works, when we truly understand what is the paradigm, where do we get our paradigm from, and how to change it. So what the paradigm is like your programming, which I'm going to talk about a little bit in more detail in a few seconds. But going back to sales, selling is definitely a mind game, because the paradigm is a part of your mind. Okay, so selling is something that we can learn and master. When we do that, we're gonna sell by law, not by luck. So there's gonna be no up and down in sales. There's not gonna be, oh, I've just had a lucky month and then the next month is dead because there's nothing going on. We pretty much, once we understand what really paradigm is, because that is what controls my behavior, and my behavior gives me the results I want, then I can sell by law. So I can actually create the results I want. A great quote by Emerson says, cause and effect is the law of laws. I love this one. It really represents pretty much everything that we need to know and understand about our results. Backman is the Fuller, what he said, and he was a very intelligent guy. I mean, he had one of the most fascinating and original minds of the 20th century. His ideas were demonstrated in his great inventions. So what he said, never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that it's going to help you to change that reality. And this is something that we're going to be focusing on. So when it comes to results, when it comes to our behavior, and when it comes to paradigm, in order to understand for you what the paradigm is and how to change it, let's look at the mind and the paradigm. Because the truth is, everything starts in the person's mind and everything finishes there as well. So in order for someone to change the behavior, we need to understand what sort of programming, what sort of paradigms they operate with. So what is the mind? If I've asked you that question, what is the mind? What would you answer? I'm just going to pause here for a few seconds, just to give you a few seconds to think about it. We know that the mind is the most powerful tool we have, yet so few people really understand what the mind is. So if we don't understand what it is, how can we really get the results we want? So what is the mind? The mind is an activity. So let's look at the mind and the paradigms. And to be more exact, let's look at your mind and your paradigm. This drawing represents the stick person. So this is every individual. You can, again, think either about yourself or people you know. Some individuals in your company, in your team. So we have a stick person, and the big circle is your head, the small circle is your body. And now your head is sort of divided into two sections, because we do want to talk about the mind, right? So we're going to talk about the mind in more detail. And even though the mind has more than two sections, what we're going to focus on is those two sections in order to understand what the paradigm is. So the first top section is your conscious mind. And the bottom half is your subconscious mind. And then obviously this is your body. This is not a coincidence that the body is a lot smaller and the mind is a big circle. It's because the body is an instrument of the mind. So the body will do exactly what the mind tells it to do. Consciously or subconsciously, doesn't really matter, but it will reflect the person's mind. So now, what is the big difference between conscious mind and subconscious mind? Conscious mind is your thinking mind, is your educated mind and your intellect. Now, subconscious mind is your emotional mind. A really big difference. So your conscious mind has the ability to choose, accept, or reject an idea. An idea, for example, could be, let's double our sales this month. And now if you say it to your team, there will be some people who will think, yeah, let's do it, let's go for it. And they're going to be truly up for it, and they're going to make it happen. And then there's going to be other people in the company or in the team, and they will say, what? This is crazy. How am I going to do it? I mean, the economy is not that good. People don't want to buy anymore, and so on and so on. So really, that's an idea that's being passed on to an individual, and now it's up to that individual that's going to accept this idea or reject it straight away without even thinking about it. It's just going to be like, no, this is impossible. And that was just an example. It could be about any sort of ideas you give them. And also, your conscious mind can originate ideas. So when you work in a team and you can ask people, what else could we do? Maybe create a new approach. Again, there's going to be some individuals in your company that's going to be very much into originating ideas. They're going to be very switched on. They're going to be constantly coming with new ideas. And there's going to be some other people who maybe not going to be as involved, right? So conscious mind, your thinking mind, educated mind, can do all those three. Now, subconscious mind, your emotional mind, must accept whatever it's given, whatever is internalized, it must accept, cannot reject whatsoever, and cannot determine the difference between that which is real or what is imagined. And that's really huge. So, two parts of our mind, consciousness and subconsciousness, huge difference. A very interesting point that I want to make here is also that conscious mind, maybe the drawing does not represent it, but the conscious mind is the 5% of your mind. And now your subconscious mind is 95%. And what happens next? This is you, okay? You today. So you've got your mind, you've got your body. And now what happens? When we go through life, we gather information. As we've mentioned before, the conscious mind is your intellect, is your educated mind. So you gather information, right? So you listen to the radio, to news, to the TV, read papers, you listen to the opinion of other people. So you constantly gather information. And gathering information happens in your conscious mind. This is where your reasoning is and your thinking mind. Okay, so thinking happens in your conscious mind. And now, let's just imagine that whatever you have in your subconscious mind, like I've mentioned before, whatever information you have in your subconscious mind that really dictates your behavior. What sort of information goes into your subconscious mind? Whatever you observe around you, whatever you internalized, goes into your subconscious. Whatever you observe and you see or hear the same information over and over and over and over again, through that repetition process, that information goes into your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind has almost an exclusive control over your behavior. And this is what creates your paradigms. Paradigms, again, it's a multitude of habits, ideas, and beliefs that we hold about ourselves and people and things around us. Now, let's imagine this is you as an infant. So let's go back in past a little bit, go back in time, and just see yourself, you as an infant. So when we are born, Our subconscious mind is wide open. So really, a baby doesn't have a consciousness. Until the age of 4 or 5, the consciousness is then created. However, when the baby is born, the subconscious is wide open. So what happens next? What happens for the first few years of their life? They are exposed to all sorts of information, radio, other people, TV news, maybe not as much. However, they are exposed to certain opinions, information, other people. And because the subconscious is wide open, it has no ability to reject. It accepts everything that it's exposed to. Based on that information, everything goes straight into your subconscious and you create your self-image. So you create certain beliefs about yourself and other people, certain beliefs about the world around you, certain beliefs about how to do things in a certain way. You create your self-image. You create certain habits as well and ideas. And a combination of all this information creates your self-image. So just to give you a quick example, a child that is praised is going to be a very confident adult, and a child who is criticized all the time is going to be a very shy, withdrawn adult without even knowing. But that programming has been implemented into the subconscious mind of that child. When they grow up, this is how they operate with. This is one of the self-image beliefs they will be operating with without even knowing about it, without even being aware about it, because many information that we have, beliefs and ideas and habits in our subconscious mind, we don't even know that we have them. So what happens next? Through that continuous repetition of an information, as we are exposed to as a child, over and over again, we see or hear the same stuff over and over again, we create paradigm. We get that programming of us, and everybody has a different programming depending on what they were exposed to, what sort of information or opinions they were exposed to when they were little kids. The paradigm is formed at that early age. And that's the same paradigm that you're operating with today. Knowing or not, that's what it is. That's why you perhaps act like one of your parents or maybe grandparents, because those beliefs, ideas, and habits are not your own. They were passed from generation to generation. So without being aware, we've created those paradigms that we operate with on autopilot through most of our life. And one of the parts of our paradigm is self-image. So confidence, either someone is very confident or lacks confidence, that comes from a paradigm, from that belief. So now that's exactly the same paradigm we operate with today. So what happens next? Let's look at the mind once again. So that's a stick person. And we're going to focus on the two parts of the mind. So the top circle is the conscious mind, right? So what happens here? We have these sensory factors that give us, that connect us to the world outside. Okay, so we can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. Fantastic. They're very useful because we gotta know what's going on outside. We have to be aware of what's going on outside. And now the bottom half, the subconscious mind, is something, as we know, that controls our behavior. Now, what happens? You send your salespeople to a training, either a day workshop or 2 days or 3 days, however it takes. You send them out to teach them how to sell. And they come back and they could be very motivated. I mean, they come back and they've learned so much information, and they say, well, I really want to increase my sales. I really want to win the best salesperson of the month. I really want to earn higher commission. So they've created wants. They sort of decided, they want more money. They want to sell more. But that wants, the part of what we want is in our conscious mind. So that resides in our conscious mind. Wants. What I want, I'm really deciding it based on my intellect, education, and information I've gathered. So what happens next? What I want, what I've decided to do because of my knowledge, it doesn't mean that I'm actually going to act on it. It doesn't guarantee that I'm actually going to make it happen. Why? Because the paradigm has almost an exclusive control over my behavior. Really, that's what it is. Paradigms almost have an exclusive control over our behavior, and that really dictates the way people behave. Actions or lack of actions, productive activities or non-productive activities. When you go to your office and observe your employees, you can see straight away the ones who pretend to work and the ones who are very effective. And that's what creates the results. Results really tell an interesting story about each person. Results reflect where the person is programmed with when it comes to their beliefs, ideas, and habits. And we all operate on habits. Definitely. And thinking is also a habit. So that's what really has an exclusive control over our behavior. How many times you might have heard your employee or your colleague is telling you, I want to do it, I want to make it happen. Yet, nothing happens. But they really convince you. You may even believe in them, right? But nothing happens. In order to change the result, in order to increase your sales, you need to create a want that will overpower the paradigm they operate with. If they were not successful last month, they're not going to become successful overnight, guaranteed. They're not going to become successful just because they say they want something. Nothing happens overnight because we operate with habits, we operate with certain patterns. In order to change those results, we need to really go deeper, and we need to understand that the primary cause of results, it really is the paradigm they operate with. And I'm going to say it again, the paradigm is the multitude of habits, ideas, and beliefs that the person operates with. So now let's quickly look at organized education model. So something that each one of us gone through, as opposed to the training that I'm referring to, the training that takes place on subconscious level. When a person goes through school, university, and sales training, they hear the information. Okay, so you send them out, you train them, you teach them what to do, you tell them what to do, so they hear the information. Hearing is one of our sensory factors that is present in our conscious mind. So what happens? They gather information. It's all about gathering information. They might even read loads of books. They might read newspapers about increased sales. They may go to seminars. They may really do certain things, but they only gather information. And they know stuff. When you speak to them, they may even answer your questions, how to do it, what to do. So they know things. However, knowing is not enough, because knowing comes from your conscious mind. Your conscious mind is your educated mind, your intellect. This is where gathering information takes place. And knowing is not enough. Just because someone knows what to do doesn't mean they're going to do it. Just because someone's read thousands of books, of gone to hundreds of sales training, doesn't mean they're actually going to do it. Why? Because gathering information is not enough. It's all about learning it. And learning comes from true listening. And listening, when we listen, it really happens when we get emotionally involved with it. So listening really happens on the subconscious level. And that is our emotional level. So we really listen with our emotions. We hear stuff all the time. There's this buzz outside. There's loads of information in and out, in and out. So we can hear stuff, but it doesn't mean we learn it. We truly listen to something when we emotionally involved with it. It really happens on our emotional level. And once that happens, we can truly learn how to do things. Because again, gathering information happens on the conscious level and learning happens on the subconscious level. And the subconscious really has the exclusive control over the way we act, over the way we behave. So the result is controlled by what we do, how we do it. So the doing part, again, has a lot to do with the subconscious part of the mind. And there is a huge difference between what people know and what they actually do. There is a gap between what people know and what they do. And what I do teach people is how to close that gap. Again, everything that I'm talking about today is how to close that gap, how to become more aware of what's holding me back, and then to change it. Once we learn and understand what's happening, then the results change in a huge way. People actually astonish themselves because all they have to do is to truly start learning. And then the behavior changes. And at the same time, results, so your sales, can increase in a big way. Now, schools, when it comes to education, schools really gave us valuable knowledge. However, school never taught us how to alter our paradigms. So, like I said before, our paradigms were formed when we were very little kids, right? And if we don't know that what we have as our paradigm, we operate with that paradigm for the rest of our life. Then we may become a little bit aware of that certain habits or ideas don't suit us, don't serve us, but without understanding how to change it, again, frustration comes in because we don't really know how to alter our paradigm. We can change it 100%. We can alter it. Any habit, any belief we hold on a subconscious level, we can change it, but we need to understand how. And through understanding and application of the process, we can do so. But going through our education, there's no school, no education that actually teaches us how to alter our old paradigms. Therefore, we frequently do not do what we already know how to do. Why? Because the knowing is in our conscious mind and the doing is based on our subconscious programming. That's why knowing, doing gap, a very big gap that we don't know how to close in most cases. So we may have superior knowledge, yet the results may not reflect it. How many times you've come across people that are absolutely and highly educated. They may even hold 2 degrees, they may have a PhD, but it doesn't mean that they are very effective individuals. And then on the other hand, You might have come across someone who actually doesn't have any education, and yet again, when you look at their results, they can be even a business owner of a highly prosperous business. And that happens because, once again, whatever we learn, whatever education system we go through, it all happens in our conscious mind, our educated mind. And what really is responsible for the results we get, for how effective we are, how productive we are, if we are good salespeople or just an average one. So all these results are direct reflection of our paradigm. The paradigm literally controls our behavior. So in order to change our results, in order for someone to become a super salesperson, a very effective, successful salesperson, which is possible for everybody, in order to change those results, we do not have to teach people what to do and more, in terms of giving them more information, how to do things, because they know how to do it. What we have to do in order to change the results, we need to help them to change their paradigm. We need to literally help them to understand the power of habit, the power of the belief they have, the self-image they hold about themselves, and then they can change it to a new paradigm. So this is sort of a common scenario of a salesperson who goes through one training, sales training, to another, knows what to do. So they really know how to prospect. They really have a great sales presentation. They know how to handle objections. I mean, you speak to them and they do everything by the book. They know how to close the sale. They've done it so many times by the book. They've gone to those trainings, then simulated the training with you, yet they're stuck and they broke. Why? Because it's not the knowing part that controls their behavior and actions, it's their paradigm that controls their behavior, is the self-image that they have about themselves. And a very interesting point that I would like you to make here, self-image is a totally different and a lesson I could talk about probably for another hour. But just to give you a bit of information about it, self-image has really an exclusive control over how people act and behave. And we have two self-images. Everybody has two self-images. The first self-image is the outer self-image, so the way people dress, speak, talk, so the way people present themselves to the outside world. And then there is a second self-image which is stored in the subconscious mind, and this is self-image that really controls the way people behave. So that self-image will or may stop people from actually prospering, from actually making those calls, from actually doing what they were supposed to do, because that self-image makes them feel they're not good enough, they're not ready. Whatever it is, something is stopping them. And just because someone looks presentable, someone speaks with confidence, doesn't mean they are very effective, because we do really have two self-images. So the best way to see what sort of self-image people operate with, check their behavior, check the results they have. Results always reflect person's mind, always reflect person's programming. So now, once we understand what is holding most employees back, then we can show them how to change that. And then they finally can create the results they want. And it's only done through understanding, study and understanding the power of habit, the power of ideas and beliefs they hold. So really understanding the paradigm and how to change it. And it's a process, a very structured process that once people follow it, they will change their paradigms and results at the same time, guaranteed. Productivity is going to increase Ideas will keep flowing in, and sales, well, you can only imagine what's going to happen to that part. And they will do what they plan to do, and they will stop procrastinating. And really, those feedbacks are real. They are from my real clients, and that's exactly what happened in their lives when they started to study who they are, what they are, and how they can alter their paradigm. And then the behavior and results changed pretty quickly. Within a couple of months, you could see a huge difference. And it really is because once you alter the paradigm, you change the results. So a company never recruits all of a person, including their finer qualities, their full interest, their loyalty, and their enthusiasm. You can buy a person's time. You can buy their physical presence in a given place. You can even buy a measured number of muscular motions per hour. But you cannot buy their enthusiasm. You cannot buy their loyalty. You cannot buy the devotion of hearts, mind, and souls. You have to earn these things. I really love what Einstein used to say. And he said we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. And this is so true. People think in a certain way. Thinking is a habit. And we are habitual creatures. From the moment we wake up, we pretty much run on autopilot. Decision-making process, it's based on habit because it all goes through our logic. What is logic? Logic has been created based on our paradigm, which is the information we had been exposed to a long time ago. And those beliefs, those information, ideas that we gathered long time ago created our subconscious mind, our paradigm, and that created our logic. Our experiences also were a part of our logic being created. However, if we keep doing what we've been doing so far, even if we put more effort, we're just going to create more of the same. So in order to change the results in a big way, because what most people do, they try to work harder, they work longer hours. And yes, they will probably sell more one month, but another month, it's pretty much back to where they used to be. Guaranteed. If you have an overlook over the year of one person, on average is the same year in, year out. So even putting more effort, still they operate with the same thinking. Thinking is a habit. A habit is a part of a paradigm. And this is what we have to change if we want to change people's result in a big way. I'm really not talking just about incremental growth. I'm talking about exponential growth. And this is what happens. People often astonish themselves when they start changing some parts of their paradigm. Sales really is not a talent, it's a skill everyone can learn and master. How much would it mean to you if you overcome the fear and resistance towards sales? I mean, that question is not necessary towards you, but how much do you think would it mean to you if your employees overcame the fear and resistance towards sale? Can you imagine how the bottom line of the company would change? Can you even imagine how your sales would skyrocket? There is really no end to what person is capable of doing, but they have to learn it. They have to learn how to alter the way they behave, and that is only done through altering some parts of their paradigm. On the other hand, if nothing's gonna be done and same sales trainings will be put into place year in, year out, what do you think is gonna happen? I mean, what is the loss if you don't do anything very different to what is the company used to do so far? You may get from time to time a high achiever. You may hire that person from time to time, but the current employees you have right now, they just stay the way they are. It really is not about money, it's about service, and it's all about how we think. If a salesperson is speaking to a prospect and it's thinking about, I need that sale, I need that money, he or she is pretty much in a really good way to kill the sale in a bad way, really. But when we focus on service, again, is the mindset, is the thinking, the way that people think. If they focus on service and they think in a certain way, they're going to create an amazing result. So what really separates high producers from masses? Hopefully you can tell me that answer right now, or you can actually answer it to yourself. Hopefully you know the answer to that question after this session. What really separates high producers from masses? It is their level of self-confidence. And confidence is a result of taking action. And again, action, which is our behavior, it really is a direct reflection of what's going on in our subconscious part of our mind. So in order to change that, we got to become more confident. But confidence is a skill that we can learn, we can improve upon. But we have to understand how and what to do. If you have happy and fulfilled salespeople in your team, I mean, you're going to have such a productive team. And your employee is going to be loyal to you because when you invest in them, they invest back because they feel appreciated. They feel that they know what they truly want because they know who they are and what they are. Once they know it, they become a lot more enthusiastic. And it's a huge asset to the company. Thank you so much for listening. It's been my biggest pleasure to be here with you, to be able to share this information with you. There is a lot more to this process, but that is really the beginning of the understanding what is really holding most people from achieving the results they want. And the truth is, in order to change your results, you must change your paradigm. There's really no other way. If you want to have permanent change, we gotta go deeper. We gotta start changing those habits, ideas, and beliefs. And people can do it. They have ability to do it, guaranteed. But if we do nothing, we're just gonna have more of the same. And that can be a very frustrating process. Thank you so much for listening. If you would like to speak to me, I would love to have a one-on-one chat with you. You have my details here. You can go onto my website, which is successfulmindsetforlife.com, or you can email me, which is info@mindsetpg.com. Thanks again. It's been my pleasure, and have a wonderful day. Thank you so much, and I'll speak to you very soon.